Have you ever stared into the abyss? I mean, really looked into it, past the initial shock, past the fear, and into that endless quiet dark? There are stories out there, worlds crafted from ink and code and celluloid that do just that. They force you to confront the very worst of what could be the deepest shadows of existence. Today, we're not just peeking over the edge, we're taking a dive. We're going to journey through some of the most soul-crushing, relentlessly bleak, and utterly hopeless universes ever imagined by the human mind. These are the places where happy endings go to die, where survival is a curse, and where the only certainty is suffering. I've walked through my fair share of desolate landscapes, seen what desperation does to people, but some of these worlds, they make a world of infected look like a walk in the park. They challenge our very notions of heroism, of good and evil, until all that's left is a gray, suffocating fog of moral ambiguity. It's a heavy topic, I know, it's not for the faint of heart. But there's something compelling about these dark mirrors, something that draws us in, forcing us to ask ourselves what we would do, who we would become, when all the lights go out. So steel yourselves, take a deep breath. We're about to explore 5 of the most harrowing fictional settings ever conceived. Some you might know, some you might not. Stick around and see if your personal heart of darkness made my list. Maybe you'll find a new favorite nightmare, or maybe you'll just be grateful for the world outside your window. Either way, this is a journey you won't soon forget. Let's begin. Our first stop is a galaxy where the very concept of peace is a forgotten myth, a child's fairy tale. Welcome to the 41st millennium of Warhammer 40,000. The tagline says it all. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And it's not an exaggeration. This isn't a war with front lines and treaties, it's an all-consuming, eternal conflict on a galactic scale. Humanity is clinging to existence by its fingernails, ruled by a fanatical, xenophobic regime that worships the barely living corpse of an emperor, a silent god on a golden throne. Every day 1 million worlds teeter on the brink of annihilation. Think about the sheer scale of it. Billions of soldiers are thrown into meat grinders against monstrous aliens, demonic entities from a psychic hellscape called the Warp, and ancient robotic dynasties that want to extinguish all life. Hope? Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. Individuality is heresy. Compassion is a weakness that will get you, and everyone around you, killed. The greatest heroes of this age are not noble saviors. They are genetically engineered killing machines, indoctrinated from birth to know nothing but slaughter, and even they are just a single drop in an ocean of blood. It's a universe where your best-case scenario is dying a quick anonymous death for a cause you can't possibly comprehend. And the worst part? There's no end in sight, no prophecy of a coming dawn, no chance for a lasting peace. The Imperium of Man is a rotting empire, besieged from all sides and crumbling from within. The forces of chaos whisper promises of power, luring entire civilizations to damnation. The Tyranids, an extragalactic hive mind, seek only to consume every scrap of biomass. Every faction is monstrous in its own way. Every victory is just a delay of the inevitable. It's a setting that takes cosmic horror and grinds it into a fine, bloody paste. There is no hope. There is only the laughter of thirsting gods. From the maximalist horror of a galaxy at war, we shrink down to something far more intimate and somehow, even bleaker. We come to a world covered in ash, where the sun is a dim ghost in a gray sky. This is the world of Cormac McCarthy's The Road. There's no explanation for what happened, no zombies, no aliens, no grand villain to fight. The world just ended. And in its place is a silent, cold, and starving purgatory. The story follows a man and his son, pushing a shopping cart of scavenged goods through this dead landscape, heading south with no real promise of anything better. The horror here isn't in monsters but in what's left of humanity. The few survivors are reduced to their most primal instincts. Cannibalism isn't just a threat, it's a business model for some. Every encounter with another person is a life or death negotiation, a terrifying gamble. The trust between the father and son is the only light in this entire world, the only thing separating them from the bad guys. They carry the fire, a metaphor for goodness, for memory, for the will to remain human in the face of absolute dehumanization. But you see that fire flicker and dim with every horror they witness. You feel the cold in your bones reading it, watching it. You feel the gnawing hunger, the constant paranoid fear. Every abandoned house could hold a can of peaches or a cellar full of captives. There's no grand objective, no mission to save the world. The world is already gone. The only goal is to survive one more day, to protect the boy, to keep walking. It's a story that strips away everything we take for granted: society, safety, sunlight, and asks if there's anything left worth saving. It's a quiet apocalypse, a long, slow suffocation of the soul. Now let's step into a world that might feel a little more familiar to some of us. A world that looks a lot like our own, just broken. This is the world of The Last of Us. It starts with a pandemic, a mutated cordyceps fungus that turns people into ravenous, mindless infected. But as anyone who's walked this path knows, the infected are only half the problem. They're a force of nature, like a hurricane or an earthquake. The real darkness, the real danger, comes from the survivors. It comes from what people are willing to do to each other to see one more sunrise. 20 years after the outbreak, civilization is a collection of memories. What's left are brutal military quarantine zones, scattered settlements of scavengers, and roaming bands of hunters. Every faction, from the government remnants of Fedra to the revolutionary Fireflies, is morally compromised. They all believe they're doing what's necessary, but necessary in this world is a synonym for cruel. You see good people make monstrous choices and you're forced to live with the consequences. You see communities built on hope get torn apart not by the infected but by human greed and fear. And at its heart, it's a story about love, the fierce, desperate, and ultimately selfish love that can drive a person. Joel's journey with Ellie isn't about saving the world. I mean, it is, at first. But it becomes about saving world, which is her. And he is willing to burn everyone else's world to the ground to do it. It forces you to ask impossible questions. What is the price of a cure? What is one life worth when weighed against the whole of humanity? And would you make the same choice? In this world there are no easy answers, no clean victories, there's just the choice, the cost, and the quiet, haunting aftermath. Prepare yourselves. We're now descending into a realm of pure, unrelenting agony, a place where the very laws of causality are bent to ensure maximum suffering. This is the medieval nightmare of Kentaro Miura's Berserk. On the surface, it might look like a dark fantasy full of knights and monsters, but that's like saying the ocean is a little damp. This world is a meat grinder for the human spirit, operating on a philosophy of deterministic cruelty. It's a world where your struggles, your dreams, your very will are ultimately just ripples in a current flowing towards a foreordained, horrific destiny. At the center of this maelstrom is Guts, the Black Swordsman. His life is a monument to pain. Born from a hanged corpse, raised by abusive mercenaries, betrayed by the one person he ever truly loved and trusted in one of the most infamous, soul-shattering events in all of fiction, the Eclipse. He is literally branded for sacrifice, a piece of meat marked for the endless hunger of demonic apostles and godlike beings. Every night he is hunted by the spirits of the damned, drawn to his brand. He can never know a moment's peace. He can't rest. He can't stop. He can only struggle. This isn't just a world with monsters, it's a world governed by them. The God Hand, a council of archdemons, manipulates humanity like pieces on a board. The world is rife with war, plague, religious fanaticism that burns innocents alive, and horrors that defy description. And yet, through it all, Guts refuses to surrender. He wields a sword that is more a slab of iron than a blade, and fights back against destiny itself. But his struggle is the core of the horror. It's a hopeless, furious, blood-soaked rebellion against a universe that has already decided he will lose. It's the ultimate dark fantasy, one that asks if a man's will means anything at all against the crushing weight of fate. For our final exhibit, we don't need to travel to another galaxy or a fantasy realm. We only need to go back in time, to a specific place, a specific date, April 26, 1986, Chernobyl. This isn't fiction in the traditional sense, but the world it depicts, the reality it uncovers, is more terrifying than any monster. It's a universe of invisible death, of an enemy you can't see, smell, or taste, but that is actively tearing your cells apart. The horror here is quiet, bureaucratic, and chillingly real. It's the horror of a single, catastrophic failure, amplified by a system built on lies. The series shows us the event not as a simple explosion, but as a slow, creeping apocalypse. We follow the firefighters who walk into a pillar of radioactive fire, thinking it's just a roof fire, their bodies breaking down within hours. We see the miners, digging a tunnel beneath a melting reactor core in inhuman heat, knowing they are sacrificing their lives to prevent an even greater catastrophe. We are in the rooms with the engineers and scientists trying to comprehend an event that their manuals said was impossible. Their every decision weighed against the fate of a continent. But the true, gut-wrenching darkness of Chernobyl is the human element. It's the arrogance, the denial, the political pressure that led to the disaster and hampered the response. It's the cost of lies. A lie told to a superior, a flaw in a design hidden to save money, a truth suppressed to maintain the image of an infallible state. Each lie adds another shovelful of graphite to the fire. The threat isn't a demon or an alien, it's a flawed system, and the ordinary people trapped within it, forced to pay the ultimate price for mistakes they didn't make. It's a universe that reminds us that the most terrifying worlds are the ones we can create ourselves. And so we emerge, back into the light. We've walked through galaxies of endless war, across ash-covered continents, and through the ruins of our own world. We've witnessed the struggle against fate and the very real cost of human failure. It's heavy stuff. These stories, these universes, they stay with you. They're designed to. They're not just entertainment, they are thought experiments, cautionary tales, and profound explorations of the human condition under the most extreme pressure imaginable. They remind us of the fragility of hope, the value of compassion, and the thin line we all walk every day. But now I want to hear from you. We've only scratched the surface, I know. The abyss is deep and full of terrors. Which universe, in your opinion, is the absolute darkest? Is it one we talked about today, or is there another, even more soul-crushing world lurking in the back of your mind that we missed? A world from a book, a game, a movie that left you feeling hollowed out? Head down to the comments and let me know. Let's talk about what makes these places so terrifyingly compelling. There are no right or wrong answers, only shadows. Thank you for taking this dark journey with me. It takes a certain kind of strength to look into these places and not turn away. If you appreciated this exploration of fiction's bleakest corners, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the stories that shape us. It helps more than you know. Until next time, be good to each other, and be grateful for the light.